Hey everyone and welcome back to the Hanseatic Dreamland and welcome to a brand new episode of our main theme park. Today we are going to bring in two different souvenir shops. We are finishing the coaster and we are talking about what is going on in the future, because I will do something crazy with the souvenir shops in a future episode. But more about that later in today's episode. It's going to be packed. I'm going to show you a couple of inspirational images soon. But as always, before we head into this wonderful park, let's go to our sponsor of the channel, which is Instant Gaming. In case you didn't know, which would be weird if you're watching my videos, but Instant Gaming is a service where you can get games and DLCs and even in-game currencies, just like PlayStation money, Xbox money, whatever, for a very good value. They most likely have discounts on all their products, as you can see on screen. You can have DLCs to your favorite games. You can set pre-orders and whatever you like, you will find it. The link here is as always in the description, and if I'm not too lazy, it's going to be to the top right as well, where you can easily click it now. But let's talk about today's episode. Now, you will notice we are not doing sci-fi at the moment, which is for the very easy reason that we are doing a bit of a souvenir shop first, and then next episode is going to be back at something else, and then after that we are going to go into something really cool for the sci-fi area. So for those of you who love the sci-fi project, it's just on a bit of a break, okay? It's having a bit of holidays, okay? But we are soon back into that one. I can't wait, because there's so much going on that I want to show you, but I just can't right now. As promised, I will now take the time to make things good, and you will notice that in today's episode. This over here is not going to be the one we are talking about. This is not the souvenir shop. This is just a retrofit of an existing one I've built. If you remember, we built this for the Tilt Coaster a couple months ago, and it was always meant to be a souvenir shop with on-ride photos, hoping that they will come one day. And well, as they are here, I just quickly retrofit everything in, but I didn't, spend too much time. The next stuff in a couple minutes, we're going to start with that. This is going to be massive. The shop is potentially one of my best interiors I've ever done in any of the Planet games. It's very detailed. It's still not quite as detailed as it could be, and that is for a good reason, because we will see something else soon. I love the video I've seen by Yonti, Geekism. He had this video yesterday. I just saw that while preparing for the voiceover, and he did something similar to what I was been doing here, but he did it in a very nice way. He showcased very nicely the difference between just a retrofit, a very simple way of doing this, then a bit more themed and a heavily themed way of doing these souvenir shops. And without me doing this intentional, it's kind of similar to what I'm doing in this project, but the reason for that is relatively simple, because that shop over here existed and I didn't want to spend too much time on it. But this one over here is going to be massive. Okay, so the first couple of seconds will be only about making this building, and I cut out a lot of it because that was absolutely tedious work to make this building so precise in this spot that the coaster goes through. We still have a good building, it still fits in, and nothing just kind of glitches into the ride. That was quite problematic, to be frankly honest with you, but at the end I found a good solution to it. I'll show you in the real-time part how many things I needed to use, and windows as walls will make a return. For those of you who've been with me for years, they will know exactly what that means. But now let's talk about the promised inspiration. So for this project, you can see 3 different screenshots from Disney-ish kind of simple souvenir shops, and the Weasley souvenir or kind of magical treats shop from the Wizarding World. And that one is a multi-level store. And I wanted to do something multi-level, yet not so overly themed as with the other Disney stores. Like if you go, for example, another one which is a good example would be the kind of Discoveryland souvenir shop. I really find very inspiring, but I didn't want to go like crazily themed because it doesn't really fit the coaster itself. That was the other challenge. The good thing about this coaster is kind of relatively boiled down to this kind of Hanseatic, like easy harbor vibe, bit of backstage vibe, bit of like concrete, a lot of brick actually, but also kind of, as you can see over here with the exit area, a bit of a more toned down industrial vibe. And I didn't find this fitting too much with the overly themed vibe, yet I wanted to make it super detailed, you know. Themed and detailed are two different things, so I wanted to try to find a good balance between these things, and I therefore checked specifically these inspirational things, as you can see, with some more themed down or like toned down, yet very detailed shops. And as you can see over here, the pathing is already done. I cut out the tedious time-lapse part where I was trying to get the pathing right. It worked very nice, and apparently with our new options from the last update, not from the 6th but the 5th update, making path invisible and so on, it is just a breeze to make that. It still is a bit of work, but you can do whatever you want. And this type of shop being fully functional, no glitches or whatever, people completely easily using it later on, you'll see that in the real-time part, is something, you know, absolutely incredible and nothing short of just phenomenal looking. I love it. It's so much better than I ever expected, which, to be honest, would have not been possible with the way how Souvenir Shops in Planet Zoo work as well. So that is equally amazing. And there are a couple of things I did for this build to make it even more nice, and there are a couple of things I did to make it realistic, which gosh, that was so annoying to be going that way. But you'll see that here with the roof. I have the problem that I needed to make enough clearance for the coaster, and then this creates an open space for the souvenir shop itself. But as we are in Hamburg, it potentially will rain quite a couple times. So what I did is I built an additional rain cover. I gotta say, this is more or less a placeholder. I still need to find a different solution for that, because you know, the tremendous amount of rain and the wind that you have in harbor areas like that, there is no way that this would be enough to keep that whole area, you know, dry and secure for the people in. I would think that there are still some mechanisms to close off the whole thing a bit better, which I have in place on the other side in a bit. And also I have my voice back in place now. Gosh, I don't know what that was. Anyways, you can see that I'm building a lot for the exterior still. This whole build took me way longer than I expected. And maybe I'm going to use these next couple minutes of me finishing the building and making sure the clearance is nice and having enough kind of security around the coaster to go back to a post I made a couple days ago on my YouTube wall. Also, in case you want to be updated, I'm trying to use that more often. And I mentioned that I wasn't too happy with the quality lately of my videos. And I want to be a bit more precise about what I meant. So technically, all is good. The builds I've done, I'm very, very happy with. Specifically, the Splash Peak stuff I did during my parental leave. I just need to kind of bring this down to the point that I would have loved to edit them even better, to spend a bit more time to make better shots, a bit more cinematics, because that just kind of is what I also like doing. It's not only that I want to do it for you guys, which is the most obvious reason, but I also like doing this. Having a nice video also makes me kind of proud. And because of efficiency reasons and time reasons, I couldn't do it the way I wanted to. And this is why I decided to just try to take more time to make these videos right and make them work out the way I want them to be. So I will restructure a couple little things to make my workflow a bit more nice. I also have to just set up a new Premiere profile. Mine is now like 2 years old and it's a complete chaos. I just need to take the time on the weekend maybe to just completely build a fresh one that like isn't as chaotic as the one I have right now, and just make sure that music and so on is perfectly aligned. As you will notice in this one, we will have the classic Planko 2 music back again, but I'm gonna use something in the future again. So that'll do it for the moment for this topic, but as promised, we are going to talk a lot about the details in this build today. I also used a couple of the new pieces from both the Pirate set and the Fantasy set, but not as like intentional as maybe in the future will happen very soon, as a little spoiler. But there are a couple of pieces I used in here that are very handy, a couple of plaster pieces specifically because I like them a lot more. The fact that we can scale these windows a lot nicer now, also part of the update, is very neat. But it was quite a lot of work to bring this in. As you can see over here, I tried some of the new brick walls because I like this new from the Fantasy, or actually old, but the texture is so nice and I wanted to have a bit of a break in the normal brick over here to make it a bit more, you know, diverse in here. So that's gonna work out nicely. But yeah, let's talk about all the details and the main theme going on here with this shop. Because, as you know from this coaster, Brandung, which, by the way, means, I think it's coast, like just like that it is, where you have like the waves, kind of the force of the waves coming towards the beach, or is it coast? I forgot what exactly that was, but definitely it's meant to be the raw force of the waves and the sea, and being in a harbor area, I thought that was quite fitting. And the theme was meant to be also very industrial, very raw, and very forceful. And this is, again, the reason why I didn't want to go too playful in this store. It should be very much down to what this whole experience is. Industrial, strong, straight, and using also the color scheme in here that we have going on in the whole coaster. The only little aspect I'm kind of not using is the yellow, because the car itself is yellow as of now, but I'm still not 100% happy with it, so I may change this to a bit more of a blue, dark blue kind of variant to match more with the idea of waves. I used the yellow before because it had a nice contrast, but at the end of the day I felt it was more, or maybe I feel it, I didn't, like it's not passed, or I haven't done the change, so maybe it's because I still feel it's not 100% what I want from it, but you know, it's a kind of a subject to change what we have in here, and this is what I really like about this project. It just constantly changes and kind of works very nice in the bigger context of what we want to achieve. And also, just talking about the idea of this shop, I wanted to use the shelves as they are. I do not like them too much per se when it comes to different themes, but specifically for my need over here, and with that kind of industrial vibe and very classy, I feel like they look very nice. They kind of go with these kind of Eames style, like Eames chair, Eames shelves. I don't know if you guys know them, but like if I don't forget about this, I'm gonna put some images in here. It's a ridiculously expensive type of furniture, but it's very well known and kind of fits the style. This is exactly what I wanted to do with it. And this is why I left it the way it is, simply because that would translate nicely into the idea I had. We do some subtle theming here and there, so don't you worry too much. But I also used the little trick to connect different shelves to different counters. As you can see, we also put a very blank counter here on the upper level, which is because you only can connect 40 shelves per each counter. To be honest, it may seem too little, but 40 is quite a lot if you have one counter, and if you imagine making bigger kind of shops, it's easily that you, like realistically, you have more than one person at the cashier anyway, so it might make sense to have multiple ones of those in a bigger checkout area, so it doesn't really make that big of an issue. So you can connect 80, and if you have 3, for example, you're already at 120 shelves, so that should do the trick, you know. And you could also always kind of fake your shelves. You can always use just one shelf and then rebuild it, or kind of put another one next to it which is not connected. You can't put the pieces in, but you can put the pieces in yourself with the scenery items. So there's the solution. Also, here we are, the big comeback. The comeback of this video is, well, actually I said windows as walls, but to be precise, it's windows as ceiling. Yeah, for those of you who've been with me, or with Planet Coaster I should say, it's not my individual trick over here. I think it's something that has been developed very early on in the early Planet Coaster days, where we didn't have nice stucco or plaster walls, and what we all figured is that the backside of these windows specifically have such a neat texture that really resembles very nice usage of plaster or stucco, however you want to use that. And use that as walls and windows. And also another big benefit that we had in the times is that the windows were smaller, and hence you were able to A, fill in more individual gaps, but also B, reserve some spaces for windows. And you know, that kind of has shifted because we now get these individual wall pieces per each wall set, so the need to use these pieces as walls is not as big anymore, simply because we have more options. And also because of, you know, the scalability now, having scaling as an option in game, it again reduces the need for a specific piece like that. But still, you know, the fun bit is, as this piece still remains smaller in its initial state, it also means it becomes or it can become even smaller when you scale it down. So the advantage kind of translates now to a smaller overall size now, so you can use them in even smaller areas. Anyways, a tiny bit of branding here. I just decided to put a bit of a signature up there, like a bit of an idea to call it. It's like Brandung, the shop. Just making sure that you know where you are, I guess. And yeah, so then also I put down some shutters. As I said, this was kind of the idea for my solution for kind of weather, and the idea of being able to also play with the heat. We do have, like, it's funny though, I said it's gonna rain a lot in Hamburg, which it will, but it's also, we have increasingly hot summers here in Central Europe as well, so we have to be accountable for that too. So that is what I want to make sure that we also fulfill this need, and hence we have these shutters to also play a bit with that. So then what I was doing over here, I wanted to create the staircase. And if you're wondering why the heck did you not yet make this tiny thing, like this staircase weirdiness, whatever this is, transparent, because we can now. Well, I didn't, because I wanted to know where to put these scenery pieces first, as I wanted to make it as nice looking as possible in game. I do like the fact we can hide all this stuff now. It's brilliant, but what I really dislike is if you're not precise enough, then people just glitching through pieces is something I really dislike seeing, as well as people floating too high up. So I want to be very close to their actual hitbox, and this is why I'm using the staircase as it is. And I also follow this kind of broken up pattern over here, because I thought if I do style this with these kind of brick pieces here from the fantasy set now, I do like the fact that this staircase goes a bit wider. I could have made that a bit more roundish if I wanted to, but I honestly thought round again is not really fitting this whole theme too much. I do have a bit of a rounder floor pattern on the ground just to have a bit of a difference in here, but in general, straighter lines and more edges definitely filled into this project way more because of its, you know, heavy, strong feeling, in contrast to round and very soft form factors. I hope that kind of makes sense, and I also hope you guys like that I'm trying to talk way more about what I'm thinking about. I also felt like recently I may have been rambling too much about other things in these voiceovers, and not giving you the full insight of what I'm doing, because, you know, many people do watch these videos to get inspiration and to learn maybe how to come up with these ideas and come up with the scenery and stuff where I get these ideas from. So, you know, here you go. I try to be way more into it, and also stuff like that. Now looking at the lighting, specifically from the staircase here, I just watch photos. I just go, and you do have the beauty of Google Street View, or maybe is it still Google Street View or Live View? I don't know, but many shops nowadays also you can almost enter with Google View, Street View as well. So that is a tremendous help as well, just to see that from a person's perspective. So I do recommend doing that too if you want inspiration. And yeah, just look at real life examples, and then you see how that looks. And also putting a couple of details in at the end is very important. You can see also I put some boxes here and there, making sure that it doesn't look too clean and too organic, putting other pieces in between just to make sure that it looks nicer. We have a bit of, you know, marks here and there, one lying down on the floor as if it's tumbled over, and just making sure that it does look a bit more different from the original, putting some other things here and there, making sure I have some more plushies in the different shelves and some smaller ones too. Again, one tumbled over sitting to the side, having a guitar standing next to the shelf as well. Just making sure that like tiny details like that make the whole place feel more alive and feel more realistic. But as I said, I wanted to keep it relatively low, relatively easy, to not overdo it. As I said, I wanted to keep that one over here a bit more simple and realistic in that kind of sense. And I will do something more elaborate and more crazily themed in the very near future. And I can't wait to show you what that's going to be. So yeah, I've been building this shop over here over a couple days now, almost a week that took because of the time that went into it. And then I did something very typical German over here. As we are in Germany, we have these kind of floor mats over here that tells you welcome if you go in from the one side, and it tells you goodbye from the other. It's kind of a German humor kind of thing. Not sure if you have it in the US as well. I find them very cringe. Almost as cringe as to use the word cringe, but I just did it because I felt like that's super much, that's kind of what Germany would do. Let's put it the way it is. And I wanted to make like a little bit of a fancy kind of signage, like entrance sign over here. Just kind of misspelled the word for once, and then just kind of made sure that this looks good, is centered, and just having a couple of elements here and there, and I just adding a couple of finishing touches. And at that point, it was almost annoying that my mind was like, I've got an idea, I've got another idea, and I need something else, and putting a gutter in, and like there's still 10 to 20 things I would have loved to be doing in here, but at some point I needed to call it a day, to move on and do something else. I really am proud of the shop as it stands. It really turned out to be very beautiful. And the last thing I did was a bit of a foliage thing on the other side of the road. But yeah, let's move on into the real-time part to show you what I've been up to. Alright, we are at the exit of our coaster because we just have ridden this coaster and we are now off-boarding and exiting the ride. We are greeted with one very close-up look to our coaster, and maybe we would even see it passing by, but in our case there's just a mechanic passing by for a maintenance kind of thing. But as we go in here, we are greeted with our shop. So that's the view you have over here, and you could even see a coaster pathing through the building, which I am very excited about that this worked out. You could either go up here where you have the first part of our shop. You can see it's all accessible. Also, because we are in the explore mode, we now have a very good test if it works or not. At the moment, it's a bit of a sad thing that there's no one on this coaster and no one going in here. I have a bit of an issue in this park, to be honest, because I've been playing so long in this park that all the coasters are now so old that they are not really attractive anymore to the people. And yeah, I don't know if I can do something about this with marketing or so. I have to see if, or maybe closing down the park for a bit and then reopening. Hopefully that does sort out the issue. But yeah, so you can see this is the area. As I said, I did put some extra bits here and there. There are a bit more plushies available. There's that guitar leaning next to that thing. Again, as I said, we kept it very classic. The only couple of things I did over here, put an extra bit of a postcard shelf in here. We have the security so that no one is jumping onto the coaster and touching it or whatever. And then you can just go around here, have a bit of a nice look if there's anything for you. You can have a peekaboo out of the window and see a couple of track pieces again to just relive your experience that you hopefully had. And then if you go down, you can tell there is down here there is our photo booth, and I do see something very interesting now. And you can see there is at the moment no coaster kind of picture available, and that is because the coaster is not driving at the moment. And if there's a certain time passed, they do have this image of loading and connecting, which is very interesting. I gotta figure out what exactly it is, because there was a hot patch today as I'm recording, so maybe there's also like an issue of the connection. Let's have a look if I change the image and go in here. No, it's all fine, it's all good. So it definitely is a new kind of delay screen, which is very interesting. Very interesting that we have it. I didn't notice that before, so very interesting to see. Let's go back actually into the first person camera, which I just simply cannot do right now. There you go. And then disable our HUD again. So here you can see that, and I'm very proud. I'm very proud of this entire area. As I said, it is very, very open and spacious, not too tidy and not too cluttered. Very, very tidy, I should say. But that was exactly the idea. I'm really playing with that strong theme. We do have a couple of electricity outlets here and there, power outlets, just to make sure there's a tiny bit of realism. There's some cables here and there that we couldn't hide in the walls because they were like the full brick walls, and in here these are made, so we had the chance to put the cables in. Like, there's also a bit of a story behind that. If you go here, there's like a little bit of a, you know, peg to the right and to the left so that they don't feel like detached from each other. There's something down there below, a poster just rolled over, someone left their ring thingy over here. And then if you look here, we have certain things on the ground. Wait, what was that? There's the mug lying on the ground, and in here we've got a shop bags, a lot of things, and a couple of mugs that people didn't want to buy then. We've got our caps down here, and just making sure that like some umbrellas hang in here. Use the kind of jigsaw things to make some bigger images behind the cashier, making sure that this all looks good, and just having some planters here and there, making sure that this also, the photo booth looks like a bit more nicely integrated over here, just making sure this all looks nice. And oh, there you go, we had a test car passing by, and you can see I did a bit of theming here. One sneaky little thing, you can put the theming also in front of the camera. Like if you have the time and the patience to do it, you can create something very nice, and that is a on-screen theming inside of the camera. Like that is very, very cool. I did it on these screens, obviously. So the advantage of that is obviously that I can do more numbers and change it from screen to screen, which means if you do that on the camera item itself, which is up there, and if you do that one, then you wouldn't see it necessarily. So yeah, that's that. Oh, and actually I think the current one is this one over there. I did change the positioning. But yeah, if you put something in front of the camera, it will be actually on the camera, which is nice. So this then is our shop from the outside. So you can see this is where the opening is, and the kind of glass as security for the rain, if so. We have our shutter system that can go down. As I said, on this side I don't have one because I didn't know exactly what to do. There is one car now coming in. It's not always that slow, it's just that slow now because it came out of the block section. So sometimes I do have that. Maybe this is also causing the issue. I'm not even sure if it does make the core. It should make the course when it is coming out of the block section, but maybe it doesn't. I don't know. I haven't tested in a while, to be honest. That's a very old coaster, so it's not very old, but it's been a while since I built this. But yeah, so this is that from the outside, and yeah, the different viewing angles of this coaster, they become better and better. With each addition to this area, they become so much better. There needs to still be a bit of a security fencing here, but I mean, just look at that, the views, and just, God, it's so good. I honestly love how this all turned out so far, and just making sure that this side receives some love at some point, the flat ride over here. I will still do some things in here. There's no security on this side still yet. There need to be some fences, making sure that the flat ride feels a lot more naturally integrated in that whole area, making sure that we make a bit more security, maybe building like a little bit of an archway here. So there's still things to do, you know, but I'm very happy with how this turned out so far. And there's our little floor mat. So this is welcome, and then this is see you next time. Yeah, just like a little detail, I guess. And if you're in here, you can see this is the shop. Yeah, again, what shall I say? I'm very, very happy with how that all turned out. If you want to see the full thing, oh look, there's someone just joining our shop. Let's see what she's going for, what she's going to look at and buy. Maybe she's even going upstairs. Let's have a look. Or maybe she's just changing her mind. It's like, okay, no, never mind. All way too expensive. Don't want to buy. Yeah, but so that's that. Yeah. Again, as I said, very pleased. Let's jump out of this camera and fly up and have a look how the shop also looks from in here. Oh God, look at that! I haven't looked at the shop from this position. Ooh, also very nice shot from over here. Very much appreciate that little bit of trash down here. Very much appreciate that one. There's another vendor in here. Maybe he's gonna change. No, it's not. Okay, but yeah. So this is our souvenir exit ride shop. I am very happy. It's this coaster is becoming one of my best full coaster experiences I've built. Just yet, no one is actually joining the coaster anymore. Is that really why? Why is no one? Look at that. Prestige 1000, but reputation is dated. Scenery bonus 100%. 2 minute yeah, that's just 2 minutes of walking, I assume. But like, I don't know. Like it's got super great values. It's got very nice prestige, but it's relatively dated. So minus 10% appeal. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe we need to change something, but at the moment we also have 5,000 guests. This park over here, and it's funny to say that, but this park now has become a testament to the fact that Frontier definitely needs to increase the amount of people that can actually join. We have got 12,000, but for this park specifically, I could easily easily fit 20,000 in here without it becoming crowded. So I would love to see, at least on computer, the ability to have infinite amount of guests if possible, or at least again double it to 24,000, because if I want to shred my computer, let me just shred my computer, I guess. No, but honestly, performance still is absolutely great on this game, in this park. I have a couple of issues because of the new driver of NVIDIA, but that is absolutely down to NVIDIA. They have been messing up a little bit too often lately, so hopefully they figure that out with the next driver, else I have to go back to the last one, because that one was really good. But anyways, that should be it from my side. I hope you guys enjoyed. I certainly did enjoy building this for you guys a lot, and I want to specifically thank all the members of the channel, because lately I haven't really spoken too much about this. I also am terribly behind in renaming the containers in here for the members, so please forgive me. Thank you so much for sticking with me, still being a member on the channel or becoming one. Still people becoming member of the channel for basically no benefit other than having the emojis, and you know, that's it. But I do promise that I will change the kind of highlight for members a little bit. I have a way to make that a bit better, so to have it in each and every video for you guys. That's going to be happening soon, one bit by another, you know, once by once. That's going to happen, and you can see now finally people are on the coaster and passing by through the souvenir shop, or actually purchasing a photo here and there. I really do hope you guys enjoy and still enjoy the content. If you do so, please make sure to like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, because I do mention that every now and then, but many people, over 60% on average of you watching these videos are not subscribed to the channel. That's what YouTube tells me, so please change it. If YouTube is lying to me as well, just make sure to double check. That would help me a lot, because that's the easiest way to tell the algorithm you do actually like the content. And yeah, then I can only give you a couple more spoilers. As I said already in my post, the next episode will definitely be a Venlo Zoo episode on Planet Zoo, and after that we'll be meeting again either in the Hanseatic Dreamland or in Splash Peak. I don't know which of both things will be finished first, so yeah, be excited, be curious for that one, stick to the channel, there will be way more stuff. I'm just, yeah, very thankful for all your support, very thankful for having the chance to do all that for you. So again, big thanks to all of you. Have a wonderful time, and I talk to you, as always, in the next one.